Record reflect 6 present and 4 absent. Number 3 on the agenda is reading of the minutes.
Mr. President,
Councilman,
I'd like to make a motion we accept the minutes from 6/27/11.
Second.
it's been motioned by Councilman Opinka, second by Councilwoman Pollard, that we accept the minutes on 6/27. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Any discussion of the minutes? Any discussion of the minutes? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 4 is approval of claims.
Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
move for approval of claims June 22nd to July 6th for council meeting July 11th, beginning with claims dated 6/22/11 and ending with claims dated 7/6/11. Claim number 2973 through claim number 3259 for a total of $2,347,958.71. I so move.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilman Spitali, that we approve claims dated June 22nd, 2011 through July 6, 2011 for council meeting July 11, 2011, starting with claim 2972 and ending in claim 3259. Is there any discussion to the claim? Any discussion to the claims?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
it was brought up during caucus that we had a correction, and I just want to make note that on claim number 3227, view outdoor advertising, instead of fire department, it should be human relations college, bound for $1,959.68. I so move.
Let the record reflect the changes. Any other discussion to the claims? Any other discussion to the claims? Roll call vote on the claims.
Markovich,
Yes.
Pasalic, Spitali,
Yes.
Kalwinski, Salinas, Poland,
Yes.
Opinker,
Yes.
Hinojosa,
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes, 6 in favor, 4 absent. Number 5 on the agenda is public hearings. There are none. Number 6 is communications.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Pollard,
I have some communications.
go right ahead.
My first communication is to Council President Higgs from Mike Repay of Flat Rock Tap. Dear sir, I would respectfully request the Hammond Common Council take action to remove the residential-only parking signs on Mulberry between Calumet Avenue and Madison Avenue. These signs were put in place despite ordinance number 9036 that states the Board of Public Works shall take no action without prior notification to the Common Council. Unfortunately, the action was taken by the Board of Public Works on June 9th. The signs were put up on Monday, June 27th. There was no prior notification that these signs were going up. I appeared along with some neighbors at the very next Board of Public Works meeting on Thursday, June 30th. At that meeting, Councilwoman Poland submitted a petition by residents of the block requesting the removal of the signs. The Board of Public Works, lacking a quorum, took no action. The following meeting was attended by another neighbor that requested the signs be removed. At that meeting, the board again took no action. The matter is now before the Common Council, the proper place. I ask that you take the necessary action to remove these signs immediately. They were put up contrary to the ordinance and have created undue stress among my neighbors and friends. I have another piece of correspondence from Robert Penman, who lives on Mulberry. Hi, Kim, it's Rob Penman. As you know, I live a couple doors down and across Mulberry Street from the Flat Rock Tap. My family and I have lived in our home for 17 years. We do not have a driveway and regularly park one of our cars in front of our house, 2 cars when our daughter is home from college. 9 times out of 10, I'm able to park directly in front of my house, even on nights when I get home from work late in the evening after teaching night classes. Sometimes, however, I do have to find another spot. On those occasions, I can usually find a parking spot 1 or 2 doors down, a minor inconvenience at most. For this reason, I really don't understand the need for resident-only parking on our block, especially when it's aimed at a business that has gone out of its way to be a good neighbor. When we first moved in, the bar was under different ownership and known as the Shamrock Tap. There was always parking issues in the evening and at night. Patrons regularly fought in the street, argued loudly, littered, urinated in front yards, and smoked marijuana even in broad daylight. The Shamrock was both an eyesore and a nuisance. The owners of the Flat Rock Tap had cleaned up and turned around a bar that was once a tremendous problem for this neighborhood. They work hard to maintain a respectable clientele and are diligent in the upkeep of their property. We don't have the problems in the neighborhood that we used to have, and Hammond gets a successful business that employs residents and pays taxes. That's what I consider a win-win situation. If you are really worried about our quality of life, you'd be giving the owners of Flat Rock an award, not trying to make business more difficult. Instead, I have a sign in my parkway that I must mow around. I can't open the passenger door of my car when I park in front of my house, and I have to worry about where guests will park. Worst of all, I have to worry that arbitrary decisions such as this one could drive good business owners from our city, and we end up with more Shamrock Taps. Talk about an inconvenience. Thanks for your time. Okay, back on December 22nd of 2009, an ordinance was passed. It was sponsored by Councilman Anthony Higgs, and I'm going to read this ordinance to you. An ordinance to require notice to the Common Council of any action by the Board of Public Works and Safety affecting designation of streets for residential parking only. Whereas the Common Council finds that confusion has arisen because of action of proposed action of the Board of Public Works and Safety on the designation of portions of streets for residential parking only without the knowledge of the district councilman whose district contains the affected street. Therefore, be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Hammond as follows. Section 1. The Board of Public Works and Safety shall take no action affecting the designation of a street or streets for residential parking only without prior notification to the Common Council. Section 2, effective date. This ordinance shall be effective upon final passage by the Common Council, signature president, approval by mayor, or override of any veto of the mayor by the Common Council, and its publication is provided by law. Passed by the Common Council on the 21st day of December 2009. Okay. I'm a councilwoman of the 4th District. This was not done properly, obviously. And I want to do a petition myself, and I will go to each one of your homes on your street for the pros and the cons of who wants this. Majority will rule on this. I am going to be objective with it, and I understand there are people here who like this. There's also people here that don't. But the majority will rule on this, and we will do it the proper way. And I am requesting those signs come down immediately. I'd like a letter written to Gary Gleason. He is in violation of an ordinance here. The City of Hammond is. I want those signs down. And if they have to come back up, they will come back up. But not till a proper petition is done and we have majority rule. Thank you. I do want a letter to Gary Gleason requesting that that signage come down right away. He's in violation of this ordinance. And President Higgs, you remember what the catalyst was for you to do this ordinance. That's where I stand on that.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Poland, second by Councilman Markovich, that we send a letter to Gary Gleason requesting the signs be taken down adjacent to Flat Rock Tavern.
President Higgs,
Councilwoman Poland.
I'd also send a letter to the Board of Works that they are in violation of this approval of this signage. And I have the letter here on June 7th that per Janet Benez's request for residential parking only signs on Mulberry between Calumet Avenue and Madison, we agree, and these signs will be placed. Also, we'll be placing 10 miles per hour speed limit sign in the alley between 170th and 170th place from Tavern to 170th. That was the crux of this letter. I have never, since I've been councilwoman, received any complaints about Flat Rock. I receive complaints about every area in the city constantly. Never have I received anything on Flat Rock. And frankly, you really ought to treat your business owners a little bit nicer, in my opinion. We don't have, do you see Panera Bread on our end of Calumet? I don't think so. So the good businesses, you really need to work with your good businesses and, you know, get along a little bit or compromise here. And I think we can compromise. But I will be doing the petition myself with the pros and the cons for why we need residential only or we don't. Also, are you police resources? Really? Seriously? We have a lot of issues in Hammond, and our police have to come because there's a car parked in front of your house? Come on. You know, we have some serious gang issues. I am willing to do this petition. If the majority on your block wants this, we will get it, okay? You can have the residential only, but I want them up now, as soon as possible, and I want that letter done.
Take it down now.
I want them to take it down now.
So you want to let it go to the Board of Works as well?
Yep, and to Gary Gleason.
Mr. President,
Councilman Hinojosa?
I heard about this earlier, and I'm for whatever the residents want. Now, if this was put up and this is what the residents want, fine. But I'm gonna have to ask our city attorney, since there was an ordinance in 2009 by Councilman Higgs and this passed. The way I see it, I don't know, I'm going to let my attorney talk after me, but the way I see it right now, I think it should come down and let the majority rule afterwards. Was it properly done? Was everybody asked? I don't know. I mean, even in the audience out there, some can say no and some can say yes, but, this is not enough people right here to make a final decision on it. In my opinion, I think that they should come down. If that's the ordinance that was passed by Councilman Haig in 2009, it wasn't done properly. But I'm going to turn it over to our attorney, if we can, Mr. President, on his comments.
I don't know any reason why the ordinance was not valid. I would think it is, but I haven't, done any research on it, obviously. I think all ordinances are presumed to be valid until...
Attorney, I don't think he's talking about the ordinance itself. He's talking about the way the signs were placed in position. The ordinance was passed, but now we're talking about the rigidity in terms of going before the Board of Works and getting that approved and presenting it to the council.
I'd like it, Mr. President.
Councilwoman
I'd
Paul?
also like a letter sent to Chief Miller not to have the police issue tickets. This is unenforceable. This is illegal right now.
So there are 3 letters, one to Chief Miller, one to the Board of Works, and one to Gary Gleason. Is there any other discussion as it relates to this issue? Councilman Markovich already seconded, so any other discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Spitali?
is this the right procedure? You go to the Board of Works first and the council, or exactly, can you tell me how that works?
So actually, we would pass this by ordinance. We would handle it as councilmen.
Anytime signs are placed throughout the city, they should be approved by the entire council.
How many petitions do you need, signatures?
I would need to see every homeowner on that block and get pro or con, what they want, and then the majority rule. If your block wants residential parking and it's the majority, that's fine. That's okay. But this is being, after the fact, no, this is not acceptable.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, I think the councilwoman's right. I think it's clear from reading the ordinance that the ordinance was violated in this case. So I'm going to order the street department to pull the signs down tomorrow. And but I want to point out that valid complaints did come in, valid petition did come in. I'm going to let the neighborhood sort this matter out. We're going to pull the signs down tomorrow morning and make sure that if the Board of Works takes any action, they're going to follow ordinance, just like the councilwoman said. And it's unusual for the district council person not to be involved in any street issue. I agree. So because this is such a unusual circumstance, I'm going to order the street department to pull the signs down tomorrow. I'm going to order the police department not to enforce anything. And if this is going to be the route that's taken because of the issues raised by the neighborhood, we're going to have to go through the proper channels. Okay? Just make it a lot easier. We'll do it tomorrow.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay? Is there any other questions? But I do want to point out that I know one of the complainants that filed the petition had a disabled child that lived very close to the bar. I couldn't tell you the exact address, but it was that particular neighbor and a few others that started this process rolling. But it's clear that the ordinance was not followed. The Board of Public Works had a duty to notify the City Council before they took action. They did not. I found out after the fact, for the record, but because they didn't follow ordinance, I don't see how those signs could stay up. So I agree with the councilwoman that they need to come down. Okay? And they will tomorrow. Okay? But like I said, if the neighbors continue to push this, they're going to have to go through the proper channels. All right? I think out of respect to all district council people, I think that's the best thing we could do. All right? Any other questions? Councilman?
You said something about a disabled,
Yeah, I guess there's a adult with a disabled adult child, a disabled son. It's not school age, from what I understand. He's an adult.
Why don't they get a handicap parking only?
Appropriate
From-
signage on.
I couldn't tell you. I don't know that much detail off the top of my head.
Okay.
There is, and I could tell you, I've gone to Flat Rock a few times myself, and in all due respect to the neighbors, I parked in the neighborhood, and it's probably not right, zoning-wise. We all know that residential areas are residential, commercial areas are commercial. I've parked on the street myself and walked into the bar, so like, I'm just as much at fault as any other customer of that bar. So the fact is, we have a legitimate issue in the neighborhood that needs to be worked out according to the law, and it wasn't in this case. Procedure was violated. That's why we're pulling the signs down, but I have a feeling that's not the end of this discussion. But I think that's the best way we can handle it right now. Councilwoman, do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, but I don't think this issue's over, but
No, I don't
for the
either.
time being, I think the signs should come down.
That's
and
fine.
Okay,
But I would like to do an objective survey, the pros and the cons, and I'm sure we can come to a compromise
Okay,
with this.
no problem.
I'm sure of it.
but they will come down tomorrow, okay? And I see the bar owner in here, and you have my word, they will come down tomorrow. But like I said, we have to work through these issues, so. All right? Any other questions? Thanks.
You still need a letter? All in favor of sending the letter signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Committee reports. Communication. Number 6, communication. Any other communications? Communication is now closed. Committee reports. Committee reports. Any committee report? Committee reports is now closed. Ordinances on third reading and final passage, there are none. So, ordinances on third reading and final passage is now closed. Introduction of ordinances, there are none tonight. Introduction of ordinances is now closed. Number 10 is resolutions. Resolutions, there are none. We're going to do that one on the new and unfinished business. So resolutions is now closed. Number 11 is new and unfinished business. Under new and unfinished business, I have 1100 block of Kenwood and Howard, light 31 over 830 needs to be fixed. A letter needs to be sent to NIPSCO. And the 6000 block of Tapper, light pole 47 over 090 needs to be repaired. And in the alley of the 800 block of Drackert and Becker, light pole 149 over 648 needs to be repaired. And I'm requesting a letter be sent to NIPSCO. Can I get a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilman Markovich, that we send a letter to NIPSCO requesting that these lights be repaired as well as the engineering department. Is there any discussion? Any discussion on the letter? Any discussion on the letter? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Also, I would like a letter sent to the Board of Works and the Engineering Department requesting that them have ornamental lighting engineered and designed for the 5600 block of Maywood. And also, I would like a letter sent to Code Enforcement finding the status out on 5621 Maywood as to whether or not that house is vacant and whether or not it's in foreclosure or whatever's going on with it. Do we need to have it demoed or not? I so move.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilman Spitali, that we send a letter to Code Enforcement and Engineering in regards to these two particular issues on Maywood, 5621 Maywood and 5600 Maywood, for ornamental lighting being placed there. Also, requesting a letter sent to Engineering and NIPSCO for a light pole at 1100 block of Cleveland, 42 over 016, 42 over 1016. I so move.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilman Hossa, that we send a letter to NIPSCO and Engineering in regards to the light at 1100 block of Cleveland Street that's out for NIPSCO to repair that. Any other new and unfinished business? The only other thing that I have to say in regards to that particular issue at Flat Rock, I had a similar incident that happened to me as a councilman, and that was on William Street, where the signs were placed up without me being notified, and then all the neighbors wanted them down And so then I had to go back and go door to door, and it was proved by Board of Works, and it wasn't done correctly. And the councilman was never notified of what was going on, and that was the purpose of me putting that ordinance in place. So they did violate the ordinance, and I'm glad that the mayor was adamant enough to respect that and have them remove the signs and do it the proper way, because the proper way would to be to notify the council persons or the council in regards to placing residential parking signs. Not only that, once they're placed, we have to do an ordinance, and it has to be followed through, and we have to vote on that.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Poland.
I have a couple letters I'd like to read. Kara Gullickson-Graper has been very active with the Oak Hill Cemetery issues, and she had sent me an email, and she wanted me to read it tonight. I was wondering if Oak Hill has been discussed at all in any of recent council meetings. I spoke with the case analyst for Kara Graper versus Oak Hill Cemetery file that was opened last week. The case has been turned over to the attorney and is out of the investigation phase. It does appear that the cemetery caretaker, a young man named Mike, is completing transactions at the cemetery illegally and opening and closing plots. The Attorney General's office told me that they have a lot of evidence of this by other callers and contacts as well. The cemetery is not licensed, nor do they have a trustee on file for their maintenance funds. Since the owner claims to no longer want anything to do with the property and the former manager is living out of state, no one is even sure who this Mike the groundskeeper is or who is even paying him. He does not answer funeral director calls, but mysteriously shows up when messages are left regarding a pre-need burial or request to open plots to bury cremated remains, etc. It appears that he is pocketing the cash, and I have even been told that he may be squatting in a tool shed on the property. The AG's office sent an investigator a few months ago to take photos of the property, but they do not have the resources or manpower to investigate a claim like this. I was also told that the police department wants the gates open at night for cemetery so they may patrol through there. Perhaps they can check out claim of this man living on property periodically. I wish there was a way to raise money to purchase security lighting to deter crime and vandals to that area. A friend just sent the story to me regarding a community cemetery cleanup. I won't get into that, but Kara Gullickson-Graper has taken a great interest in the preservation of Oak Hill Cemetery and the cleaning up of the same. And it really is a beautiful cemetery if you haven't been in there. And it's just a shame what has happened, but she has stayed on it and got quite a group together of residents and people who now live out of town who do have loved ones buried in the cemetery. So, President Higgs, this is part of your district too. So the lighting issue, you may want to take a look at that.
Lighting, particularly where?
I believe around the perimeter of the cemetery. I'll give you a copy of this. And also, I do have a letter from the Indiana Crime Watch group. I just wanted to read this because I'm really impressed with this group. They are a very active crime watch group in the 4th District, and they really put all the information out there. It's his neighbors. We've had a number of issues in the neighborhood the last few weeks that we want to make you aware of. Last week during a bike patrol, one of our neighbors noticed 3 used syringes in the BP gas station parking lot. At the same time, neighbors have noticed groups of youth, sometimes as many as 8, hanging on the north side of the gas station, frequently in the early morning hours. The diligent neighbor reported this to 911. We do not have further information regarding the result of that call. Although there is no proof that these are related, we feel it certainly could indicate a drug issue in our neighborhood. If you see any activity that looks out of place or groups of youths gathering, please let the police know. Also, we hope that these are isolated incidences. We need to be aware and report anything that looks out of place. Last Thursday night, after returning home around 6 p.m., we noticed police activity at 6825 Rosewood. Sometime between 2 and 5, our home was burglarized and objects taken. It appeared they entered through the backyard, which faces the alley. We do not know if it's related, but she had recently hired someone that came to her door to mow the lawn. Unfortunately, Elvia would not give the police the name of the person she hired. She stated that the guy was just down on his luck and had nothing to do with the break-in. We certainly hope she's correct. I do want to note, however, that her back gate was open, her alarm was not set, and her backyard, which faces the alley, is overgrown, so it would be very difficult to see anyone attempting to break in. We have noticed a lot of solicitors in the area, knocking on doors, trying to sell cleaning products, grass cutting services, offering tutoring services, the list goes on. Please keep your eyes open. If you see anything suspicious, please call police. We need to be very observant and diligent in the coming summer months. Also, one of our neighbors called the police to report older kids smoking pot in Indiali Park. Our neighbor was quite surprised to have the dispatcher ask how they knew the kids were smoking pot. I think we all know what it looks like when someone is smoking illegal weed. Our police officers are the best, but sometimes it appears the dispatchers ask some very strange questions. The matters above have been reported to the police and Councilwoman Kim Poland. We addressed our concerns with Mayor Tom McDermott publicly at his campaign rally. Tom knows that Indiali neighborhood is active, very united and determined. Something looks suspicious, let's start assuming it is and call the police. Mary Lynn and Jean Chiruza. This is an example, in my opinion, of an excellent crime watch group that is on top of everything and lets everybody in the neighborhood know. Thank you.
Thank you. I received a correspondence from the school city of Hammond, 41 Williams Street, Hammond, Indiana. Dr. Walter J. Walken, Superintendent, July 1st, 2011. Dear Anthony Higgs, President of the Common Council, School Transportation Boundaries. Dear President Higgs, in response to your letter of June 14, 2011, I have gathered and reviewed the following. On direction of the School Board of the Trustees, my department did a comprehensive analysis and cost of safety issues for transportation of the students in the district. Members of the committee included the superintendent, school safety specialist, the transportation staff. In March of 2011, In March of 2011, a presentation was done by the Board of Trustees in public work session. The results indicated that our current reduced budget, we are able to change the distance from which we transport. We have experienced in the same type of budget cuts and shortfalls as the Silver City. The transportation budget for 2011 was reduced approximately $785,000. To modify our area for the radius of a 1.5 miles for each building of the radius of 1.25 miles would increase the operating cost by $436,811.90. The additional number of buses, 14, would cost over $1.6 million. The figures above reflect the fair and equitable services for students in all district areas of the school city. The city of Hammond has numerous roadways and high traffic volume, and many students have gathered more than Hammond High and Clark, as well as the elementary and Scott and Eggers Middle School need to cross these avenues. I have contacted the police department in regards to supplying additional crossing guards. The funding at the city level is also facing shortfalls, and I have been told thank you. No additional crossing guards are available. By state statute, transportation is mandated by special needs students, 504 medical plan, students, and homeless students. Board Policy 3544 responds to this statute. Any additional transportation in this distraction of the district, the school city of Hammond cannot absorb additional costs for services above the current level. The Attorney General has issued an opinion that it's legal for the Public School Corporation to charge for school bus services. Possibly public transportation schedules could arrange to help accommodate the affected areas. In closing, while the school corporation would prefer transporting all students to and from school, the financial limits imposed prevent doing so. Sincerely, Terry Butler, Director of Transportation, School Board of Trustees, Anna Mamala, Rebecca Ward, Deborah White, Cindy Murphy, and George T. Janik.
President Higgs,
Councilwoman Poe.
I'd like a letter sent to Terry Butler and all the school trustees and copy Dr. Watkins.
Put it a part of the record. Carmen, can you, in fact, can you make copies for them to have copies, and then you take it back?
I'd like a letter sent to Terry Butler with the school board copied along with Dr. Watkins. I'd like to state in there that that distance he's referencing is aerial, not on foot. And this is unacceptable. I'd like to know where he got his numbers from. I'd like to see his numbers. And I wanted to ask if under the Good Government Initiative years ago, do we still have too many administrators per child. They're at the top of the food chain too with our property tax bill. I suggest he find the money to make this work. This is totally unacceptable. It's putting the children in the 4th district at serious risk.
Is there a second to the letter? Been motioned by Councilwoman Poland, second by Councilman Vitale. We send a letter to Terry Butler, Transportation Director for the school city of Hammond. Is there any discussion on the letter? Any discussion on the letter? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any nays? Motion passes. New and unfinished business.
Mr. President.
Councilman Hinojosa.
Yeah, motion to suspend the rules so we can pass Resolution 11R-09.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Hinojosa, second by Councilwoman Poland, that we suspend the rules. Suspension of rules. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call vote on suspension of the rules.
Markovich?
Yes.
Pasalic?
Yes.
Vitale?
Yes.
Kowinski? Salinas? Poland?
Yes.
Opinker?
Yes.
Hinojosa?
Yes.
Higgs?
Yes, motion passes, 6 in favor and 3 absent. R09.
11R09, resolution to appoint Scott McLagan to the Hammond Urban Enterprise Association.
Mr. President.
Councilman Hinojosa.
Motion for final passage of Resolution 11R-09.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Hinojosa, second by Councilwoman Poland, that we pass Resolution 11R09. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Any discussion on the resolution? Any discussion on the resolution? Roll call vote on the resolution.
Markovich? Yes. Pasalic? Vitale?
Yes.
Kowinski? Salinas? Poland?
Yes.
Opinker?
Yes.
Hinojosa?
Yes.
Higgs?
Yes, motion passes, 6 in favor and 3 are absent.
Mr. President.
Councilman Hinojosa.
Motion to go back into the regular order of business.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Hinojosa, second by Councilwoman Pola, that we go back into the regular order of business. Is there any discussion on going back to the regular order of business? Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Back to new and unfinished business. New and unfinished business.
Mr. President.
Councilman Hinojosa.
I'd just like to make an announcement that the Little River Basin Commission will be meeting on Wednesday, July the 13th at 5:30, and this is going to be at the Munster Town Hall at 1005 Ridge Road in Munster. Myself, last week, I took a tour of Seymour, the 200 block of Seymour. Is that Avenue or Street? Yeah. I took a tour of Seymour, and I guess there's controversy that the wall should go up and it shouldn't go up. Myself, I'm a mobile equipment operator. A lot of that equipment that's gonna put the wall up, I operate most of that stuff that's up there. So I think it's important that everybody on this council here, if you haven't taken a ride by land or by boat or both of the Calumet River from Illinois all the way to Portage to the Hart Ditch over there, I recommend that you do so. And just by taking a tour of Seymour Street, the 200 block, it's real important that you know the history of what's going on there. This is real important about what's going to happen in Hammond here as far as building a wall all the way down and what's going to happen here. But very important meeting on July 13th at Munster Town Hall, Wednesday, July 13th. Also, I'd like to send a letter to the Hammond Police Department and Chief Brian Miller on the continued success of SWAT raids in the Hessville area.
Is there a second to the letter?
Second.
The motion by Councilman Host and second by Councilwoman Poland that we send a letter to Chief Brian Miller for the SWAT raid that's been taking place in Hessville, congratulating him for a job well done. Is there any discussion on the letter?
Mr. President,
Councilman Host.
just recently, there was 2 more SWAT raids in the Hessville area. I believe in the past 7 months, there's been 8 SWAT raids in the Hessville area. It's cut back on the gangs, it's cut back on the drugs. So if you need drugs, don't come to the Hessville area. There ain't no more.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr.
Any
President,
nays? Motion passes. Councilman Nelson.
Mr. President, I'd like to send a letter to Charlie Blaine from the Park Department and Gary Gleason from the Street Department on a rapid and outstanding response to the downed trees from this morning.
Second.
The motion by Councilman Enosa, second by Councilman Spitali, that we send a letter to Charlie Blaine
And Gary Gleason.
and Gary Gleason for the outstanding job to the response of getting the trees cleaned up this morning. And is there any other discussion as it relates to it?
Mr. President,
Councilman Enosa.
I know there was probably trees downed throughout the city of Hammond, including Councilman O'Pinker's house. But these particular trees that the street department responded to was in the parkway. One of them fell on a house. A couple of them were blocking the roads on 173rd by Councilman O'Pinker's house, by Crestwood, by the Klein Avenue Service Road, on I believe it was Carolina. There was another one that hit a house. So I went by there before I came to the council meeting, and all those trees were knocked down already. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? Motion passes. I'd like to send a letter to the mayor's office as well as to redevelopment in regards to the 6,000 block of Columbia. The grass has been growing high for the last 6 months, and no one's seemed to be getting it cut down. And I would like some immediate attention in regards to that grass. I so move. Been motioned by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilman Spitali, that we send a letter to the mayor's office as well as to redevelopment in regards to getting the grass cut in the 6,000 block of Columbia. Is there any discussion on the letter? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Also, I'd like a letter sent to the mayor's office as well as redevelopment in regards to the Calumet Theater and having that historical stuff removed and having that property demoed as quickly as possible, because we've been looking at that property being vacant for quite some time. The city obtained it, and now it's just sitting there. So I so move.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilwoman Poland, that we send a letter as it relates to the Calumet Theater and having it demoed and removing the historical artifacts out of there and having it taken care of. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. New and unfinished business. New and unfinished business. New and unfinished business. New and unfinished business is now closed. Next on the agenda is public expression. The first speaker is James. I can't read the last name. 718 Marbury. Is your name James, sir?
Roman.
I can't read that really.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My name is Ronnie Costello. I'd like to apologize for my outburst earlier and all that. But I want to say, Ms. Pollen, you said that, you talked to people on our block about those signs and everything.
No, I did not.
Well, I've been living there 35 years. This is the first time I have met you personally or any time. I never know what you look like. You come up and say this stuff. You wanted a list. You want to poll everybody. I have the list of people that want those signs up and all that. I don't have nothing against the bar. I told the owner of the bar when he come down talking, I don't have nothing against the bar. I want our block back like the rest of the residents. We want our block back. We don't want to give it to people coming parking there all the time. I'm the one that has the handicap sign in front of my house. I have to come home, I have to see a car parked there, I have to call the police. There was times I didn't call the police, I seen people walking, I asked them if they were going to the bar. They said, yes, they are. I said, would you do me a favor? Would you please have the bartender announce that there's a car parked, illegally parked in a handicap zone, for them to come and move it? They said, no problem. I sit on my front porch 45 minutes waiting for them to come move a car. They don't want to move the cars. I've seen a guy park, get out of his car, look at this handicap sign, and started walking. I stopped
Did you call the police?
I stopped
Call
him.
the police.
Excuse me?
It's public
I stopped
expression. No need to go into dialogue.
I stopped him. I said, excuse me, that's a handicap park. He pulled out. But it's all the time. We are the ones that have to move our cars for that. When the elections were not too long ago, people were going around, the politics were going around, polling people and everything. You never came on Mulberry Street. I'm retired. I'm home 24/7. You never came over there. Lady came, we talked. She says, any problem? Just the parking over here. We can't park our cars because of the bars over there. She said, well, she can't do nothing because election time, but after we'll find out what we could do. Okay, signs went up. I didn't know when they were going up, but they went up. A couple of people on our block were a little bit mad. The rest of the people that lived right by the bar at one end of the block and us people that lived at the other end of the block were mad because we cannot park our cars there. I don't have a garage. I don't have a driveway. I can't even put one in. But no, you're going to saying that this was all illegal. Well, we're going to do the legal things like it is. But I'm giving you my opinion that everything was done right. You're saying this and all that. You want to pull, like I said, here's a copy for you. This is a copy for you. I have another copy here. And all that. This is the people on our block that want the sign up. Because it is nice and quiet. We are able to park. I could come home someplace.
Take that to my secretary and have her do it.
I could come home from going out someplace, and my spot will be right there for my car. My son, if he gets up and starts walking, you can see he's handicapped. You know my son. You know
Sir,
he's
thank you
handicapped.
for-
He's a
thank you.
quadriplegic.
Thank
Sorry.
you so much.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank
Susan
you.
Lambert.
My name's Susan Lambeth. I'm at 738 Mulberry Street. I'm the house directly behind the Flat Rock. So we get the brunt of everything. And I know that Councilwoman Poland was saying that basically she was chastising us, I felt, at the beginning of the meeting. But, and I don't particularly approve of that because I don't know you. I wouldn't try to judge you and your actions, but I just wanted to say that I know that it's been said that the Flat Rock has done a lot for this neighborhood. You said it. The letter you read said it. I decided to share with this city council some of the things that the Flat Rock and their patrons have contributed to our neighborhood. They've added to the congestion in the streets. Now, I personally am not one of the people who parks on the street, and for the very reason that prior to them owning the bar, I was hit and run victim on the street. My car was damaged and I could never get reparations for it, had to pay for it myself. But I cannot get in and out of my driveway half of the time. Thank goodness the neighbor directly across from me has a driveway directly across from mine, and then it takes 4 or 5 maneuvers just to get in or out of my driveway. And this is mostly at night, but early evening too. You hear they've also increased the amount of litter. We find beer bottles, broken beer bottles, plastic cups. Those aren't coming from our houses. We find prophylactics, drug paraphernalia. A lot of the prophylactics are used too, so you can imagine having to go around and pick that up. So I just thought you might like to know that. Their customers have added to the urine content of our soil. They urinate against our fences, our trees, our houses. Just Saturday night, I stepped outside after watching the late movie. I don't know if anybody else watched Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but I stepped outside my front door, which actually is on the side of the building that faces the Flat Rock, and I saw a couple right under the parking lot light making out, and it turned into her climbing on top of him on top of the hood of the car. This is not unusual. I don't have a privacy fence in my backyard, so I can walk out on my back deck and any time of day or night see people urinating in the parking lot because, I don't know, I don't know if they have 2 bathrooms or 1 or what, but I don't know, that's speculation. But these are the kind of things that we have to deal with, and intoxicated people walking, and these people, the person who spoke before me, he lives at the very other end of the street, almost to the very end. There's one other house beyond his. So it's not just us right next to the bar. And when we didn't have the resident-only parking signs, we never complained. We had no right to complain. But now that we have them...
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. But anyway...
Ann Rogers.
Yes, my name is Ann Rogers. I stay at 719 Mulberry Street. I do have a problem with the bar. When I get ready to come out my driveway, I cannot get out because I have to maneuver myself because there's cars. They're so close that I have to come back or the other person's parking lot just in order to get out to make a turn to come out. And this is not right. I have nothing against him. I don't even know him. But I do have a problem. I find beer bottles, beer cans, paper bags all thrown in my yard. And I shouldn't have to go out there and pick up behind people who patronize the bar. And that's my problem with them. Other than that, I don't even know him. Thank you.
Next speaker is David Lambert.
My name is David Lambeth. I live at 738 Mulberry Street. I can verify every one of the stories you're hearing tonight. And I would like to say to you, Ms. Poland, that if you've never heard anything bad about the Flat Rock, you haven't talked to anyone except one family on Mulberry Street. Because I have about 10 or 11 people here that live on Mulberry Street out of 14 homes telling you what conditions are like. I'd like for the council to look at the mathematics of the parking situation. They have 13 legal parking spots. They also have a dirt area which has got gravel on it, which is not a legal parking area. It's in violation of code. So you have a building that has 195 people occupancy and 13 parking spots. That's the rest of the neighborhood is picking up parking for that business. Is it our responsibility to furnish parking for every business in Hammond? Thank you very much for your time.
Next speaker is Lucy Kizuma. Yeah. Say it again.
Kishanya.
Say it again.
Yeah, Lucy Cassandra. I live at 718 Mulberry, and my husband Roman spoke first. We do have our handicapped child that we worry about with him having a parking space because having to park way down the street is kind of hard because he doesn't walk or stand very well, and so I worry about him. And then we have like 3 houses together that people, all 3 houses are disabled. They've either had hip replacements or they have breathing problems. We have a handicapped child, and we can't get to our space, especially if we go out and then we come back, they're taken up, and then we have to walk somewhere to get back home. Also, our cars have been hit, our mirrors have been broken, we've had trash and litter all over the place, and it's hard to park there, and you're afraid to leave anywhere every Thursday and every weekend. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Loretta McGaskellin.
My name's Loretta McGlashan. I'm at 716 Mulberry. The parking issue is a huge problem, but since these residential signs have been up, we have not seen the amount of traffic that goes down that street. I have an 8-year-old child and a 5-year-old grandson that live in my house, and these cars used to speed up and down the street. And even though we tell them to slow down, they give us the finger or do whatever they wanted. It's a safety issue for our children to whether they can play outside or not. Most of the time, they're confined to the backyard. We won't let them go out in the front. That's where they have to be. And it's not fair to our kids that they can't ride their bikes. She hasn't ridden her bike in a long time because I'm afraid of the way the cars go down the street. But since these signs have been up, they've slowed down, and there's been very little traffic that goes up and down that street. And that's where a huge concern is. And I'm also one that has a disabled husband. He has COPD, he's on oxygen. And when I bring him home at night, I have to drop him off, go park towards the bar to park my truck, and then run back to get him up the stairs when we should be able to park in front of our house. And that just doesn't happen. And most of the time, we're just confined to our house because we don't want to lose our parking. So when we know that the bar's going to have something over there, we just don't leave our house. We stay there. Thank you.
Next speaker is Everett Everett. You don't want to speak Everett, okay. Denise Hinman.
Hi, I'm at 731 Mulberry, and regardless of all the allegations that are out, if this is done properly, signs are taken out, and the block says that they want them back in, I'm all for that, but it must be done legally. That's my problem.
Robert, I guess that's your wife? Yes. You're next up.
That's
Alex Jagriska.
How's it going, everybody?
How you doing?
Pretty good. All right. What I want to say is, yeah, I'm the handicapped son of Roman.
What's your address, Alex?
718 Mulberry Street.
Okay.
I'm a full-time work. I work 40 plus hours at Dyer Hospital administration. Just as I come home 2, 3 in the morning or leave out that time. By the time I get back home, my spots are taken. Sometimes my one neighbor, Ann, I had to park in her garage because I have nowhere else to park and everywhere's too far to walk. There's times I park down by Edison Park, Edison Park. There's times I park down there, walked around, get back to my house. In the wintertime, it's a lot harder. And I just like the signs because I can actually park in my spot. I worked hard for my car. It's been hit. It's been glass in my tires, nails in my tires, all that. Several times. But I just like to see the signs put back up. That's all I got to say.
Next speaker is Janet Vanez.
Hi, Janet Vanez, 1115 170th Place. Councilwoman Poland, I'm so glad that you finally had the opportunity to meet the residents that had a problem with this. It's just a shame that they had to come here to meet you. Councilman Higgs said in caucus earlier this evening that you don't have to be a councilman to get things done. You can just do it yourself. As president of Edison Community Watch, I regularly get complaints and concerns from residents who either don't know who their council person is or they don't know what department to contact. And I often act on their behalf to take care of their situation. That's exactly what happened with this. I did make a phone call to the street department to find out what was the procedure to get the signs erected on this street. I was told send a letter to the street department. I followed those instructions. I don't need to reiterate the complaints and concerns of the residents that are on that street. All I have to say is if an establishment can potentially service 200 customers and they have roughly 15 parking spaces, where do you expect the overflow parking to go? You wouldn't want it in front of your house. You wouldn't want it in front of your house. I wouldn't want it in front of mine, and they don't want it in front of theirs. After this, the petition was presented to the Board of Works. I did attend a Board of Works meeting, and I offered a compromise on this situation, but there was no return compromise offered. I can only speak for myself when I say it's high time that some of our local officials take a long, hard look at exactly why they chose to represent their constituents. Was it for political power, or was it for the well-being of their community? I was under the impression that elected officials were elected by the people and for the people. In this case, we have Mike Repay, co-owner of the tavern and a sitting Lake County councilman, and Kimberly Poland, a sitting 4th District Hammond City councilman, who are not concerned with the quality of life of the very people that they were elected to serve. Thank you.
Councilman Higgs. Councilman Higgs.
Next.
Can I interrupt?
I
want to explain. This is obviously this is going to be a temporary interruption, and under the council rules, the mayor has ability to interrupt at any time. Councilman Higgs, you know that.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you. I just want to explain where we are in the situation so that everybody understands what the next step is. Okay. I incorrectly told the group from Mulberry the time of the Board of Works meeting. The first thing I wanted to do is it was incorrect. It said 9 o'clock on Thursday. Okay. I imagine to follow procedure, the Board of Works was required under our ordinance to notify the City Council before any action was taken. So I imagine, because we're pulling down the signs tomorrow, the next course of action would be for the group of residents to show up to the Board of Public Works meeting Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, not 10 o'clock, okay? And I imagine, I know the councilwoman said she was going to go knock on doors and she was going to do petitions throughout the neighborhood. I just want everybody to know that because of the procedural flaw that the Board of Works did not notify the council first, we are going to go through the proper channels. So the next meeting of the Board of Works is Thursday at 9 o'clock. I wanted to point that out, and I wanted to acknowledge the fact that signs are coming down tomorrow, okay? So everybody's clear where we are. I just want to make sure all sides are aware, all right? Thank you, Councilman Higgs.
Next speaker is George Storia.
George Sawyer, Robertsdale. I agree with Jan that there might be some special treatment being going on here, given the fact that Mr. Repay is a county councilman. But I'm also not clear. I couldn't hear too well when you were reading the ordinance itself whether or not the only duty owed this council was to notify the council that the Board of Works was had authorized a sign to be put up. I don't know that notification entitles you or authorizes you to override. I mean, it's a jurisdictional dispute if, in fact, there is a dispute. I mean, notification is just, hey, I'm letting you know what I'm going to do. You can put your 2 cents worth in, and that's that. But the jurisdiction may very well be with the Board of Works. I don't know. I'm just saying, speculating. But it should be looked into. Maybe Mr. Berger can take a few minutes, take a look at that. I'm also curious as to why is it that Councilwoman Poland dismisses the complaints as a minor inconvenience, especially with respect to, having to walk, further to get to your home. That's slightly a relative term. I don't know why she insists, simply because she believes it's a minor inconvenience, that it is in fact a minor convenience. I don't know why is it that her subjective standard determines what's inconvenient, what's minor, what's major. There is such a thing in the law called the reasonable person, a little bit more objective, but, she's got the chair, so maybe that counts for something. Let's see here. And again, getting back to the jurisdictional, does a duty to notify entail authority to ratify? Do you people have the authority to ratify? I mean, how many of those signs are up in the city? You guys want to go through all those? Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks.
Thanks. Next speaker is Alvin Sheets.
Alvin Sheets, 800 block of Merrill. Early in the council meeting, I did, Council President, give you one of the first T-shirts. I'd like to thank the mayor and Tom Daverton for their initiative on obesity. It beeped early. I really like to thank them for that and having the wherewithal when we come up with the ideas that the mayor's put dollars behind it. being the fact that our city is in a tight budget, I really like to thank him and his staff for really helping the youth of Hammond. And thank you, Mayor. I see you still here in time, so really thank. And also, too, thank the mayor for one of the T-shirts given back to my son, so he got one early. Thank you.
That's the last speaker tonight. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
Been motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilwoman Poland. That we dismiss this meeting. Is there any discussion on that? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. No nays.